Okay, so far we've talked all about all but one of the reasons causing the Civil War. The territories from the Mexican-American War, are they going to be free territory? Are they going to be slave territory? The Fugitive Slave Act, the Dred Scott decision, John Brown and the Harper's Ferry raid, and then last but not least, Abraham Lincoln is elected as President of the United States. Now here I've got a picture of Abraham Lincoln, but I've also included a map of the 1860 election, and this is the election that got him to be President of the United States. The red states, you can see these are the ones that he won those states. The blue states, the green, and the yellow, those are states that he did not win. And you can see all of his victories come from Northern Territory. He wins absolutely zero states in the South. It's interesting here because the South, like I mentioned this before, they believe that state rights were more important than the federal power. So if you have a law, or if there's a conflict, the state wants to do something, but the federal government wants the state to do something else, the Southerners believe that the states ultimately have more authority and can make that decision. Now, this issue we've been talking about is slavery. The federal government was coming down and saying, hey, we're going to have to get rid of slavery eventually, and the South was so concerned about that, they say no. Eventually they're gonna break off and create their whole new country. The election itself is November 6, 1860. That was the first Tuesday in November of 1860, just like how we run our presidential elections today. Every 4 years, on the first Tuesday of November, we go and we vote for President of the United States. Within 1 month of that election, though, South Carolina decides to leave the country. With 2.5 months from that election of November 6, 1860, 7 states have left the Union. Now, it's important to remember Lincoln at this time, he isn't even officially the President of the United States yet. Yes, he's won the election, but he hasn't been sworn in. In fact, he doesn't get sworn in until April 12th of 1861. This is 5 months after he wins the election. That's when he finally gets sworn in. So legally, there was really nothing that Lincoln could do at this time. These states are leaving, but there's very little legally he can do because he's not been sworn in as the president. He was going to be the next president, but there wasn't much he could do. The southern states, they end up forming together, and they create a new country called the Confederate States of America. And they even elect Jefferson Davis as their new president. And again, poor Lincoln, there's nothing he can do. He's not officially the president. These states have already taken off. Like I mentioned before, the reasons I want to emphasize very quickly, reasons for causing the Civil War: territories from the Mexican-American War, free or slave, Fugitive Slave Act, the Dred Scott decision, John Brown and the Harper's Ferry raid, and now you know about Abraham Lincoln being elected as president. You know these things now. Now the Civil War is it begins. Once the southern states break off, within a month of that, you have the first shots fired in South Carolina, and that's going to be the start of the Civil War. I mentioned this before, but this is going to be the deadliest and the bloodiest war that the United States has ever fought in. Every single casualty in the North and the South is American. It's going to last for over 4 years. To give you a scope of this, let's just talk about the southern states and the military in the South. 1/4, 25% of all the southern men that were alive at the start of the war, they are going to die during the war. 1/4 of all the men die during the war. In addition to that, you've got almost another 1/4 who end up that are casualties. They end up getting wounded during the war. So you have almost 1/2 of the southern male population are either going to die or going to be injured in the Civil War. It is absolutely devastating, and particularly to the South is absolutely devastating. Now, the war eventually does end. We'll talk about that. At the end of the war, slavery is officially ended, but the effects of the war are still alive today. The issue of slavery, yes, it was resolved. It's not legal anymore. But the issues of racism, as well as the issue of state versus federal power, those are 2 issues that are still being battled today. So we'll eventually get to those things. But for now, you understand the 5 main reasons that the Civil War started.